Hey, I'm Raj Kumar, President and Editor-in-Chief of Devex. We're here at the Global Education and Skills Forum in Dubai. This is the big annual kind of Davos for the global education set, and I'm, of course, with a leader in global education, the Minister of Education from Ghana, Dr. Matthew Prempeh, or Napo, as you're well known in your country. You've been in office about a year.
Yes, just about a year.
And we're here talking about the future. Ghana is a big part of the future. I mean, we've just heard that from the World Bank you're going to have maybe the fastest growing economy in the world, or one of the fastest this year. I know your president has come out and said all this new oil wealth the country's going to experience, some of it is going to get put into education. So maybe we start there. Tell us about your plans around funding education in your country.
One of the big campaign issues that we've made as a party since 2008, 2012, 2016 was to close a loop we have in education and access, and that was secondary education,
Right.
where about a third lose out from the junior high school to the senior high school, plainly because they don't have finances.
Right.
And it translated to about 100,000 students a year who fall out, not because they didn't qualify for senior high school education, but plainly because they didn't have the wherewithal to be there. So we thought it was a lost talent. 100,000 falling onto your streets every year with no ambition, no hope, nothing. And they were lost in our system.
And in your system, what's that age category from junior to
15
senior?
to 18.
Okay. So critical age for getting into the workforce.
Getting into the workforce. And the interesting thing is that you are not allowed legally to work till you are 18 in the country. Meanwhile, you are churning out your students, your pupils, at the age of 15, having an exit exam.
Right.
So one fundamental thing was to promise the people that when we get into power, we will make that bridge, financial access, not an impediment. We will provide access for those who pass to go. And that was huge. In 2008, most people didn't believe it. 2012, we didn't believe it. But 2016, Ghanaians bought into it. So it was our number one campaign promise.
Right.
And people, even when we got into office, most people felt that because the economy of the country was so bad and you need a good economy to support education, they thought that we should either postpone the promise. But we have a president who believes that you don't wait till you are wealthy before you take your children to school. You make the sacrifices even when you are poor, because the bridge between poverty and well-being and prosperity is the education. It's the shortest bridge. So he thought that we should put, even if we are not as rich as a country, we should put prioritize and make the decision to have free secondary education.
And you've done that.
And we've done it. We've done it virtually successfully. We still have some problems, but life, nobody has a problem-free life.
Right. Well, you made the policies there, right? Free, I think free SHS, as you call it, free senior high school
education.
But now the question is, how do you get all those students into schools and make sure they've got the right facilities? How is that going? How do you judge it so far?
Those are the challenges that we are confronted with, that we are dealing with. The access, opening up, because we have an exam between the year 14, 15, 16, which is called the Basic Education Certificate. So what we've done is we said that anybody who passes, because that dropout rate is from those who pass and qualify but couldn't go.
Right.
So we said anybody who passes now, we are going to guarantee you a place, irrespective of your financial capacity. So that is what we've done. So we put 90,000 more people there than previously. And the reason why we have not achieved 100% because people opt to go to private schools.
Okay.
Some leave the system. So we are happy with what we have done, and we want to sustain it, which is the issue. And then once we've opened the places, there are very few good schools. So in those good schools, there's a congestion problem.
Everybody wants to be there.
Everybody wants to be there. But we are also taking steps to expand, build more model schools, and expand facilities in the other schools to make it also very attractive.
Speaking of good schools and the facilities, Ghana was very much in the news recently when you had a teacher, I think in southern Ghana, who was teaching Microsoft Word on the chalkboard. And it became an internet sensation. It went viral. I think Microsoft has invited that teacher to go for training in Singapore or something. What does that say about the state of the facilities you want as Minister of Education in your country now that your economy is booming? Are we going to see an uptick in spending, the percentage of the government budget that actually goes to education for schools like that one?
Yes. Not only that, government has committed itself to provide the funding necessary. And there are lots of things that we are doing. Also, we have also committed ourselves to reforming and making sure leakages and corrupt practices are stopped so that we can devote more time. What I want to talk about leakages, when you look at the number of teachers on our payroll, you wonder, teacher-pupil ratio is about 20 to 25 to 1,
right,
which would have been probably the best in the world.
Great.
But when you go to the classroom, the teachers are not there. They are everywhere but the classroom. So we need to do human resource management reforms to make sure that what we are paying for is what we are getting. We need the quality improvements because, like I said, since Education for All Goal 2020, the 6 goals, Ghana met all the goals. At least we were the best in Sub-Saharan Africa, but one. And the one was quality. And quality has to do with teacher motivation.
Absolutely.
It has to do with teaching and learning materials. It has to be a sort of inspiration that gets students to do what they want to do. It has to be the teacher in the classroom doing what he's supposed to do, inspire the pupils to read and learn. The teacher being well taken care of, and a host of availability of teaching and learning materials, after school programs. So that is what we are focusing on, that the drive to quality education, the drive to global citizenship means that the learning outcomes must be achieved. And it's the learning outcomes that are the problems.
Let's talk about the role of the international donors in your education reform plans, because I know your president has come out with this idea of Ghana Beyond Aid. And some people wonder, what does that really mean? So what's your message to people watching this who are working at the World Bank or the African Development Bank or the bilateral aid agencies like DFID and USAID? What do you want from the donor community when it comes to education?
When the president says Ghana Beyond Aid, what the president means is that every ministry, every department, every agency working for the states should prepare itself for the time when that aid doesn't come. You cannot live your life on somebody's largesse. So if the United States government decides not to fund USAID, what happens? Does it mean we don't go to school? So everything we should be doing is to prepare ourselves to be independent. And I think when you give birth to your kids, they are totally dependent of you from the day one that they were born till they go up to university and they leave the nest.
Right.
So you go to people's homes and the children have left the nest. It is because they have prepared themselves to leave. Those that don't prepare themselves to leave the nest stay with their parents, get stuck, and become sometimes a problem for parents. Because every parent wishes and hopes that the children become better. So that is what the president is talking about, that after 60 years of our independence, we should be starting to put in place things that will let us live beyond aid. And we compare ourselves to countries that at the time of independence we were at par economically with. The Singapores, the Malaysias, and the South Koreas. And now all of them have left us. And so when you look at a field like education, we are preparing ourselves, preparing the next workforce generation. We have the immediacy problem of unemployability in the country that is becoming a national security issue.
Right.
So we have to do skill training to get people their jobs and prepare the future generation for their future jobs as well. So our job is cut out for us. We are the human resource department of the ministry or the corporate Ghana. And we have to put in place process and outcomes and things that will let us get the right workforce for the next generation. So that is what we are doing. And learning outcomes is so important because now we are in a global world.
Right.
And we need global competencies to let our kids fit everywhere.
It's all about the outcomes.
It's all about the outcomes on the individual levels. It's all about the outcomes. But we also want an outcome that will lead to an individual who is functionally productive for the democratic society that we are building.
On that point, let me ask you, you were just up on stage at the plenary session here, opening the GESF, and you had an announcement to make about an initiative your government is doing with the Barkey Foundation, which I know works in Ghana. Tell us, what was that new announcement? What are you doing together?
What we are trying to do is that when we look at educational outcomes in Ghana, those who go to private school and those who go to public school, there's some interesting data that comes out. The teachers in the public schools are better qualified than the teachers in the private schools. The teachers in the public schools are better paid than the teachers in the private schools. The learning outcomes in the private schools are much, much better than the learning outcomes in the public schools.
Wow.
And when you look through the data well, what is missing is leadership and supervision and management. And so we're looking around. We have institutions in Ghana that were supposed to do that, but they are not doing it very well for us. So the partnership we are hoping is being led by the ministry, for that by the government of Ghana. But the real partnership is between Ghana Education Service, one of our institutes called Institute of Educational Planners, and Barkey Foundation, to team up so that they build the institute's capacity for sustainability purposes, that we introduce specific programs and courses for those who want to be school leaders and school managers to undergo those courses before we entrust schools to them to manage. And we think that together with supervision, that is what is lacking. And if we could crack that, we think that we would see a dramatic improvement in learning outcomes in the country.
Well, that is such a key element of everything being discussed at this forum. The future is about leadership. We need that leadership to close this gap. Thank you for taking some time out of a busy schedule to talk with us at Devex, and we'll be following closely the work that you and your government are doing.
Thank you.